Good evening, everyone. Okay, it's now 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. First, before we get started, you notice that we sent an email out that we couldn't video conference anymore. We'll talk more about that when we get into the legal and legislative session with Ruben. Additionally, you also notice that Kerry isn't here next to me. He did have some more setbacks with his health. He's back home now. He's doing better, but he's still too weak to be here in attendance with us tonight, so we don't have him tonight. With that, I'll start with the board roll call. Danetta Roberts, Ted Gibbs, Martin Poor, Gary Gilbert, Jeremiah Burns, Phil Parr, thank you, sir. Humberto Ramos, Tracy Shield, Andrea Velasquez is not here. Michael Saldana.
Here.
Mark Davis.
Here.
I'm here. Mark Gilbert.
Here.
Stephanie Gonzalez.
Here.
Sherry McDaniel.
Here.
Nick Sherman.
Here.
Dan Hebner. Jim Forcell.
Here.
Doris Stubing. Mabel Vaughn. Keith Steffen. Thank you. We have a quorum. With that, we'll start with the invocation.
Please. Father, we thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And before we get too much further, Michaela, I assume we still have to use our mics so that you're able to record the meeting?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was hoping I could get rid of it. Okay, so now we'll have the oath and statement of office of new trustees. Do I have a form that I can read from, please? All by memory, okay. Thank you. I have it pulled up on my computer, so we can get started a little bit earlier. So those of you who have recently been elected, whether it's been back to this board or it's first time, if you'll please stand and we'll do the appointed, I'm sorry. Yes, appointed to this board. So Mark, you would stand. So half of you should be standing. So if you were recently appointed to the board, even if you were already on the board for May 1st to start your new 2-year term, we'll do your oath of office and statement of officer. Okay, if you'll raise your right hand, all I'm going to do is I'll read this and you say I do. I'll make the same joke I always do. You're not getting married to me, okay? Okay. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully execute the duties of the office of trustee of Keene Regional Water Authority of the state of Texas and will, to the best of your ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and this state, so help you God? Perfect. I have one more for you, the statement of officer. Okay? And so do you solemnly swear or affirm that you have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which you were elected, or as a reward to secure your appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help you God? Thank you, everyone. Okay, so our next item is going to be election of officers. I will turn that over to staff. Obviously, I'm not the president now. We'll do another election of officers and elect the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. You may remember in years past how we handle this is we'll ask for a couple nominations. If we get one nomination, we'll give some more time for any others. If there's only one, we'll stop the nominations and we'll vote on that nominee. Majority rules. If a majority of you vote in affirmative, that person will be nominated for that office. If there are more than one, the first person nominated will get voted on first. If that person receives a majority of the trustees, then they will be appointed to that officer position. If that fails, it will go to the next nominee, the next nominee, next nominee until it passes. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, with that, I will turn it over to Regina to do the president.
Now take nominations for president of the board.
I nominate Brandon Rohan for president of the board.
Second.
Again,
Are there any other nominations?
you don't have
You have to have
to.
a second.
I apologize. I should have said you don't have to have a second either. Seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths are fine, but
Okay, I'm going to cease nominations and take a vote for Brandon Rohan as president of the Board of Trustees. Do we want to do roll call or just all in
it's
favor?
just one person.
Okay.
I would-
All in favor? Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay.
Thank you for your support. It's hard to believe it's been a year. Okay, we'll now move on to vice president. So I'll accept nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Nick Sherman for vice president.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination for vice president. Are there any other nominations for the position of vice president? Okay, hearing none, I'll stop the nomination process and we'll call a vote. All those in favor of Nick Sherman as vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you have it. Congratulations, Nick. Thank you. Next, we'll go on to the position of treasurer. So I will ask for any nominations for the position of treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Sherry McDaniels as treasurer.
Okay, so we have a nomination for the treasurer position for Ms. McDaniel. Are there any other nominations? Okay, I'll close the nominations and take a vote. All those in favor of Sherry McDaniel as the treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, and the last we'll do is secretary. So I'll entertain nominations for the position of secretary.
I'd like to nominate Doris Stubing.
Okay, we have a nomination for Doris Stubing. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Ted Gibbs.
We have a nomination for Ted Gibbs. Are there any other nominations for secretary? Okay, hearing none, as I mentioned at the start of this process, we vote on the first nomination. If the first nomination gets an affirmative, then we will stop. If it does not, then we'll move on to the second nomination. If that one doesn't succeed, then I need y'all to nominate someone else, okay? So we will do this as a roll call vote because we do have two different nominees. You can all vote for each one, okay? So everyone gets a vote for each one. So everyone in this room can vote for Doris at the very beginning here. And so what we'll do is we'll start with the nomination of Doris Stubing for secretary, and I'll start down here, Mr. Steffen.
Okay. Yes.
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 Yeah. Two yeses? Doris. Good answer.
Nay.
So, I'm going to vote no, which puts us in a tie. So we'll need to move on to Ted. Okay. Mr. Steffen, how do you vote? Ted Gibbs as secretary.
Aye. Yes. No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Stubing. Maybe.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes has it. Ted Gibbs will be secretary. Okay, thank you, everyone. Sorry for the cumbersome process. Announcements. The Board of Trustees of Canyon Regional Water Authority may during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. The Board of Trustees may at any time during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session for consultation with its attorneys concerning any of the matters to be considered during the meeting pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Item 6B, appointments for the CRWA Board of Trustees were due May 1st. Any position that hasn't been filled yet is vacant. So if you haven't done that, please get back with your entity and have those positions filled. Item 7, public comment. Comments on non-agenda items. No discussion from the Board of Trustees. There's a 3-minute time limit per citizen. Time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Are there any public comments on non-agenda items? Hearing none, I'll move on to item 7B, comments on agenda-specific items. This discussion from which the Board of Trustees may be allowed 3-minute time limit per citizen. Time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Are there any public comments on agenda-specific items?
Mr. Chair, can I
Yeah.
bring up, with regards to the election?
Yes.
So I just want to make a point with regards to the election. I appreciate we have the democratic process, but don't keep in mind the fact that there are other entities here that feel we should have some type of say in the executive committee. And those entities are the Hayes Caldwell entities. And for a while, we did have some representation and we seem to have lost that. So I just want to make a point that, keep mindful of the fact that we do have a vested interest in this organization.
Yep, thank you. Okay, hearing no public comment, we'll move to item 8, meeting minutes. We did take this out of the consent agenda. You may remember last month we had some discussion on it. We kind of settled a little bit on the format it was going to look like. You all received those draft minutes, I believe, the Monday after the board meeting for your review and had a week or so to review them. I know Doris had provided comments. She had sent them to me and her and I discussed them, and I sent those on to staff. There were some items that Doris had asked to be changed that kind of messed with the format that you approved, not intentionally, but just in nature. And so we left those alone, but we did make some other changes that she asked for. The minutes in your packet reflect those changes. They are not the original document that was sent to y'all the Monday after the meeting. So we didn't put this in consent agenda because we won't have the financials until next month. You may remember we voted to delay the financials by 30 days. And so we thought this was a good time to have the minutes in a regular discussion in case anyone wanted to discuss the format or anything further.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 8A.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this item? I will say, I think the process is helpful. I think it's helpful to get it out in front of y'all sooner so that everyone has a chance to make the comments and it not be just a few days before the meeting. And so we will continue this process because I think it is the most beneficial for this organization. I think it helps us get to effective business faster. We're able to make our comments out before we even get to this meeting. So sorry for dragging it on, but anyways, now I'll ask for all those. Yes, ma'am.
I think we need to take the watermark off of the minutes.
Take a watermark off the minutes. Yeah, as soon as they're approved, they won't be drafted anymore. But yes, ma'am, great suggestion. Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Minutes are
Mr.
approved.
President, may I just add this? I appreciate the effort that you personally have taken in helping get this squared away, making this type of a, more typical consent agenda item move forward faster and smoother in the meeting. That's part of what Green Valley's letter that we had sent some time ago. One of the key points in that letter was, so I appreciate the effort you've taken, the executive committee, and, those that are very interested in this specific item, how we've all improved the process. So I wanted to make a point to recognize you and all those that are making this smoother.
Well, and I recognize Doris too. I mean, she takes the effort to put
I include
of reading the minutes and sending comments, and she will run circles around me when it comes to grammar.
I include all the people that are making the minutes as good as they can be, as smooth as possible. So yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay. That motion had passed. Item 9, we'll start with reports. We'll start, I guess, with the general manager's report.
Just have a few things. Just want to let everyone know that we have a meeting later this week. Actually, I think it's Wednesday, to meet with the P3 owner advisor to start discussing and negotiating the contract. The team has begun the review on the operations master plan submissions. There was 3. We're working on that. We'll continue to finish our comments to Garver regarding Nanostone for the additional units that will be going in at Lake Dunlap and submit those back to Garver, I'm sorry. Staff continues to work with STV on the Hayes Caldwell intake as well as the design and all that for the raw water tank 1 at Wells Ranch. We have a new operator that starts at Wells Ranch tomorrow. We have 2 open positions. 1 is still an operator position and 1 is a mechanical operator. The operator position we thought was filled, one of those we thought were filled for Hayes Caldwell, and it didn't work out with the gentleman that we had originally chosen. So we've now reopened that. There are some things going on with the Guadalupe permit application, but I'm not going to steal Chelsea's thunder on that one. As well as the Paul units, I won't steal Adam's thunder on that one. They will both report on that in their own. I think that's all that I have. Any questions?
Question on the general manager's report. Okay, we'll move on to item 9B, staff updates. We'll start with operations.
Go ahead, Adam.
Good evening. Just quick comments on the drought report. It's really nice to see water flowing at Landa Park, and also water coming up in Canyon Lake a little bit. So it's really nice to see that from all the rain that we received. However, still not out of drought, still in a drought. And so, I mean, there's a lot of talk and nobody's really willing to say it yet, but this may well be the new drought of record. But we'll find out. We'll find out once we're out of it. I just want to mention a couple things. The plants are all down in production. That's due to the rain. So that's nice that we can kind of store away that water for the summer. And then also talk about the Paul trailers a little bit over at Hayes Caldwell. We're working on getting those into compliance. If you remember last year, TCQ came around and they said, oh, by the way, we know we gave you compliance on trailer 1, but you're not. And so we went ahead and worked with TCQ on that. And now we're well on our way. That's under review with TCQ. Also the the membrane pilots that we have gone through, April 17th, they were submitted to TCQ for review. So TCQ has 90 days to review those pilots, and they're going to get that information back to CRWA. And that's pretty much it for the operations report. Is there any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I don't know if you can answer this, Adam, and I know probably General Manager should be able to answer, but he's not here. But I will defer. Joan, thank you, Joan, sent me an email with regards to what I'm going to be asking for next year with regards to my water allotment. The question I have for Canyon Regional, if I seek my total allotment of water, would you be able to produce my total allotment of water?
From the Hayes Caldwell facility?
That's where I'm.
Currently, we would not be able to.
Okay, so how do we fix that? Because, you know, if I'm due based on my contract 1,308 acre feet of water, and I ask for 1,308, and I'm paying for 1,308, but I can't get it. I'm assuming other entities within maybe Lake Dunlap, Wells Ranch may have the situation. So we ask for 100% of our water, you know, and I'm never going to receive, I can't receive it specifically for Hayes Caldwell. What am I supposed to request?
So Adam, are y'all aware of what the challenges are at the facility? Are they membrane related or what are the challenges?
It's membrane related primarily. And that has to do with the fact that the Coke membranes that we have were deemed obsolete really back in 21. And they don't make them anymore. There's not a retrofit type membrane that fits in there. And generally these Coke membranes last from about 5 to 7 years. And we're going on like, I think the 6th or 7th year on them. I mean, they're worn. So we can't use one of the trains or the stages of the coke membranes, as they call them. That one's completely shut down, cannot use it. And so the other two are stage number 2, which has several membrane modules on it. It's kind of hit and miss. It'll run most of the time, but with the regulations that we have to meet with TCEQ, sometimes the testing procedures don't pass with that number 2 stage. The number 3 stage, we pass. It was the last one that had been outfitted with the coke membranes. So those are still operating okay. But yeah, they have a life expectancy and they're at the end of their life.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the pilot study, you said TCEQ got it on April 18th,
17th, yeah.
17th, okay. So you said they have up to 90 days, so that's May, June, July. Okay. After that, how long is it going to take us to be able to get that up? You know, I know we have to go to the board meeting then at that point, which is probably going to take it to August to vote on which one, and how long after that vote is it going to take to get those filters and get them up and running?
You want to talk about there's two processes going on here, right? Simultaneously.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't necessarily have an answer for you on the schedule on what happens after that. I don't know. I know that, you know, that after the review, we do have to have some time here in Canyon Regional to review it. I don't know if you're privy to it, Brandon, or.
Well, I was just going to say the pilot testing, the whole purpose of the pilot testing was to find the future for y'all, future membranes. If y'all were going to go and redo the entire facility, build a whole new building, put a whole new general rack system in and put these in, right? Y'all are now talking about the potential of just getting another trailer. There's only a couple manufacturers of membranes that make trailers. Y'all use Paul already. And so there's a decision tree there of, do you go with Paul? Do you wait for the pilot study, find someone else who may be approved, and miss and match? And so this is a serious question that you know Humberto brought up and County Line brings up, because it doesn't just affect them, it affects the entire Hayes Caldwell group. And so I think, you know, we've kind of been sitting on this for a little while already on what method do we need to take? Do we need to rent these trailers? Do we need to buy these trailers? What's that long-term answer? I think this board should probably direct staff to bring an answer to us next month, so that we can give the assurances to the Hayes Caldwell group that they can get their water.
And I'm
So that's
fine,
not for you, Adam, I'm sorry.
and I'm fine with that. I know in the past we practiced this, and Joan in the past has asked us. In the past, it wasn't an issue, but now it's becoming an issue.
Sir.
Because fiduciary responsible, I'm just throwing money at knowing I'm not going to get my water. So, you know, paper water is good. I have a contract with Canyon Regional. I can use paper water, but if I need to use that water, I don't want to overextend with the hope that I'm not going to be able to even use it, but I'll be paying more. And hopefully this is just something that's unique just to Hayes Caldwell, and I'm hearing it's not, you know, so the same situation would apply to Lake Dunlap. Can Lake Dunlap participants take all their water if they're asking for it? And if they can, great. You know, same thing with Wells Ranch. If you can, great. But, you know, my understanding, there's some limitations to our system.
Yes, sir.
And certainly there needs to have discussion in the future. But what's pressing for me now is this request, because I want to help the process. I want to help Joan get those numbers right. But at the end of the day, you know, that's the basic question I have is, what am I committing to? Like, if I'm going to overcommit, you know, I'm giving you money for, I'm never going to be able to use the water.
Yes, sir.
So I need to make an informed decision. At this point, there is no information I can make an informed decision on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but I feel strongly that we should direct staff to give us an answer to that question so we can start down that path as soon as the next month's meeting.
And that just kind of goes back to like the Wells Ranch, all the wells being down and stuff like that. It just compounds on itself, and, you know, being part of the Hayes Caldwell group, it is very concerning.
Well, Mike, I mean, the challenge we have here with all these facilities is we built them bare bones decades ago, and we didn't have what John Kaufman used to say, an N+1, right? That extra chain, the extra wells, the extra treatment train, you know, extra backwash pumps, all those things that that have to run 24/7. You want to give them a break, and if they break down or you have to do maintenance on them, you've got to take them out of service. And if you take them out of service, you can no longer produce 100% because you have no backup. Have backup wells. We don't have backup filters at Wells Ranch. We know Nanostone, we have the ceramics pledged to us to increase its capacity to be able to do the water. And we know the Hayes Caldwell has a limitation with the failing coke membranes. And so, Mike, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of challenges there, and it starts back from us decades ago.
And to that point, and I want to touch on Mike's other point, that's crazy to me because in the wastewater world, at my day job, we're required to have our firm pumping capacity plus one redundant pump for when the pump breaks down, for when the pump needs maintenance or service. We have a redundant unit that we can put into service and still be at full capacity. So I don't understand the regulations, why in the water world we don't have to have that, but it is a problem. Now, Mike touched on it briefly, and Adam, the next question I was going to have for you is in reference to Wells Ranch. Between my construction committee meeting and I tried to attend the board of managers meeting and I watched the video, the next day. Thank you for sending that to me, by the way. How many wells do we have, total, operational, and down? Because between the two meetings, in my notes, I'm getting kind of conflicted reports, at least from what I can hear, about the actual wells that are operational and the ones that are down or almost ready to be put into service from being upgraded. How many wells do we have running right now?
So to answer the first question, we have a total of 15 wells out there. Most of the wells have been designed to produce around 500 GPM. Not all of them. Some of them produce over that. Some of them produce under that. We do, out of the 15, we have 2 Wilcox wells. Those wells produce right around 1,000 or even over 1,000 GPM. The wells that we have down right now is well number 14 is down. Well number 2. However, the work is, for the most part, been completed. I don't want to steal Bobby's thunder, but it's pretty much ready to go.
Real quick, while you're on 2 and 14, they're not down for maintenance issues, they're down for upgrades?
They're down for upgrades. That's correct. Well number 1, of course, is down due to maintenance issues. It's being drilled right now as we speak. And as far as I know, those are the only wells that are down right now. Well number 3 was down for a little while, but it's been repaired and it's back in service. So out of the 15 wells, 3 of them are down right now.
So while we're on this topic, and then I really want to get back to the Hayes Caldwell question, and that I think that's a problem that we need to give some direction to staff on. This is what one of the main things Board of Managers has been discussing is this, long-term plan, this master plan that the staff's working on an RFQ for or responses for, is to look at those items and find where do we need to put in redundancy that we didn't put in before, which is going to be extremely important. So that's coming. The Board of Managers is working with staff on that. I think it's very important. The Hayes Caldwell discussion. Do you all feel comfortable with having this staff bring us back some options for either buying or renting the 3rd trailer that get the plant up to capacity? Okay. I'm not seeing any no's or head shaking. Okay. Sounds like we're in good agreement here to bring some items back to this board for next month. If that's not possible, just give us a good reason for why that's not possible, please. Okay, operations, anything else? Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, moving on to budget and financials.
Just going to speak real quick to that. We're working on putting the budget together. Joan and Brian are working together to do a little bit different format for easier readability for the Finance Committee to review. And I can't remember, we have a committee meeting, don't we, scheduled already?
June 17th for the next budget committee meeting, something like that. Can I ask staff, are there any concerns on not necessarily the fiscal year 27 budget, but the fiscal year 26 budget? Are there areas, are there budget amendments that are going to come up in the next couple months or in the next month that we need to be aware of?
Joan, do you want to take that one? Do you have any?
I know.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
The only thing would be the cost of the raw water, the Wells Ranch. What are we gonna do with that?
Yep.
And possibly with the city of San Marcos. What are we gonna do with that one also?
Okay, are y'all going to present that at the June meeting or y'all waiting for budget committee meeting? Because June 17th is after our next board meeting, which then puts us in July, which is,
We're already almost to the end of the year, so
yeah.
that's kind of where we're at on that one.
I would say we'll take it to the budget committee and then we'll bring it to the July.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I do want to note the meeting's on the 16th
Okay.
at 10:30.
Thank you.
Other questions on the budget and the financials? Okay, external affairs and planning.
Okay. A couple of just noteworthy dates that I wanted to raise for the group. Today, Senate Water, Ag, and Rural Affairs had a pretty comprehensive hearing on desal viability and regulatory efficiency on that topic. I unfortunately had a conflict, so I couldn't listen to the entirety of it. But from what I heard and some report outs that I read after, it was very comprehensive. It was very favorable. It's certainly an ongoing conversation in Texas, but I think we're off to a good start. And then also another date to flag, not until September, but September 1st, the Senate Local Government Committee is having a hearing for a number of topics around fees imposed by local governments. But they do specifically call out utility connection charges, permit and inspection fees. And I wanted to flag this now because it is open to public testimony. So they're advertising it as such. So just wanted to share that with the group. Other items for legislative affairs. I did hear from Focused Advocacy today. They spoke directly with Executive Director Keel and her Chief of Staff. They're actively working to schedule our meeting date, but they are very interested and supportive of it, but they really want to bring a big group. So this is our TCEQ meeting on bin 2 and requesting a reduction in our current classification. So I think they're just trying to juggle a number of different calendars to get everyone in the room at once, but hopefully that date is on its way in the next couple of weeks. Let's see. Enabling legislation. So our legislative subcommittee here at CRWA has been doing a lot of work digging into changes that we might propose in our enabling legislation. We've been working on that with Trey, with Focused Advocacy, and with the subcommittee members. I think we've put a significant dent in the work that needs to be done, largely through having a lot of very in-depth conversations about the implications of some of the changes that we're requesting, and as well as the probability of outcome for some of the changes that we're requesting. So we're being very strategic in what we're putting forward, and I am hopeful that we will have some draft language to share. I hate to say dates, but by the next board meeting, I think we're pretty close. Groundwater is going to be its own project, working with Focused Advocacy, and I will touch on some specific items there. But we have started putting together a briefing document that can be shared with our legislative delegation when we go to those in-person meetings. There are a number of challenges and concerns that I think we've flagged that'll really just need to be a more comprehensive conversation. Some regional notes. Regional had a meeting, I think, my days are blurring, but I believe it was last Thursday. Thank you. They are really early in the administrative process, so not a whole lot to report out there. The next meeting is currently slated for either August 6th or September 10th, and then my impression is that they'll start ramping up on steps for the next planning cycle. Okay. Gonzales County, at the Board of Managers meeting last week, I shared some information that I think was important in light of the conversation that we've been having organizationally about early terminating or offloading some of our unpermitted leases in Gonzales County. I do have a memo prepared and I got the green light on that today, so it should be circulated tomorrow. Yes, Regina's saying tomorrow. The the shortest explanation I can provide is that in light of concerns coming from what the latest regional model is showing, this is part of state planning. Every 5 years, they update the model. Some of the districts are very just concerned about the outputs. Now, the reliability of the model is a separate question, and what the districts are doing independently to develop their own model is a topic kind of in and of itself. But because of some of the concerns about what the model was projecting, Gonzales County's underground water conservation district voted and approved with relatively short notice, we had about a week, on a moratorium on all new permits and permit amendments. It is effectively indefinite. It's described as being temporary and short-term, but it is also seems to be tethered to the process of the district updating its rules, again, in light of what the model is projecting. So we really don't have a strong sense of what the rule changes might be, when they might be presented to the public, when they might be discussed, really just no sense at all. CRWA received the announcement. We had 1 week from the day that the public notice was posted to the day they held the meeting. We did manage to get public comments in, and we collaborated a bit with some of the other entities that would be impacted by this. So we had a pretty unified voice in the comments we submitted. However, the draft resolution was not very overt on several points, and it really wasn't until we were in the conversation or listening to their deliberations that we understood where this was coming from and what directions it could take. The most notable thing coming out of this meeting, for us at CRWA at least, is the potential for the district to update rules so that it amends its what I refer to as the ratio allocation. So how much groundwater you get for every single surface acre of land that you hold. They have done a reduction in the past. It was previously 2 acre-feet for every single acre. Currently, it is 1-to-1. Without referring to a model or really anything of substance, I heard in the board's deliberation, which lasted all of 45 minutes, some suggestions that they go to 0.5 acre-feet to every surface acre, even down as low as 0.25 acre-feet for every surface acre. So this presents potentially a huge challenge for us, and the memo that you should receive tomorrow, charts what this could mean for us, and I think could help inform, again, the conversation around what to do with our currently unpermitted leases.
So Chelsea, there's a potential, without eliciting some form of panic before everyone gets their memo, to be reduced from 1 acre to 0.5 or 1 acre to 0.25 in extreme cases, which would then take our Gonzales leases in half or reduce them even further by 75%.
Correct. It is, one of the things that is unclear is whether this change, if it even occurs, and it's not my goal to incite panic, but just to make sure you know that this is being discussed.
I meant me inciting panic.
Okay. But one of the things that is unclear is whether or not this would be retroactive. And amongst, within the deliberation that their board was having with their legal counsel, I left with the impression thinking it is very possible that this would be applied to an existing permit, that it would not be something that we feel the burden of when we go for a renewal, that it could be effective immediately. And yeah, so we could have an entire conversation, I think, about that and all of my notes and everything that I've heard. But one thing that
I've got a question.
Oh, yes.
I've dealt with the Gonzales, and they seem to be an up and up group of people up there. I don't understand how within 1 week's notice, Canyon Regional was not aware of what they were doing. I mean, stuff they do is transparent. So why weren't we aware that this was down the pipe or there was discussions? Does Canyon Regional attend the Gonzales meetings?
Yes, we attend every meeting.
And how is it that you only knew within a week's time that this was happening? This makes no sense to me. But
Well,
nevertheless.
in the district meetings that I attend every week, they did not, or every month,
Okay.
they did not have any mention of doing this. There was some discussion in the district meeting just prior to them posting notice about this special meeting that they were having, that they might have a working group. That was all that we heard. And then on the Monday before they had this special meeting, they posted notice. So from Monday to Friday, we were trying to get information and develop comments. And then the following Monday was the meeting. We were not the only ones caught off guard by this, and we're not the only ones that attend every month.
Yeah, but I'm more
So-
concerned about Canyon Regional, but nevertheless.
Did you know something sooner?
I mean, I have conversations with them about a lot of things, and I'm just surprised that y'all weren't aware of this. But honestly, I didn't know they were going to do this.
Okay.
But one thing I will ask is that this response that y'all made, can we get a copy of that as part of this memo?
Yes, it's an attachment to the memo along with the signed resolution and another copy of the outline of possible lease cut scenarios.
Okay, the other question I have, within your memo, do you explain to Gonzalez, and if they change the game, it basically changes the plan, and there'd have to be an amendment to the plan. So is it clear in the memo that whatever they do is going to amend the plan? And the fact that, some entities may not have that water that they're planning for?
When you say the plan, are you asking
I'm
about the
asking
district's management
Regional
plan?
plan, the state plan that
Oh.
where many, I guess, entities here are looking forward to obtaining water from that particular area. So whatever they do impacts the plan.
No, there's not discussion about the state plan. It's specifically discussing our leases.
And I would ask if any of y'all, real quick, Nick, and then I'll let you go. If any of y'all hear anything of this significance or importance ahead of time, share it with Canyon Regional staff. A lot of times we have better ears to the ground in the local areas than a regional entity. And we've got to share this information so we're ahead of the game. Because 1 week notice is not a lot of time to try and prepare a memo. And it sounds like it wasn't just us, it may have been others as well. Nick.
So a couple times in your report, you mentioned, hey, we heard from Focus Advocacy today. I got, some type of an approval today. If we could, especially with a consultant, Focus Advocacy, I know I've asked for them to put a written memo in the packet on several occasions. If we could get information in the packet so we can see what they're doing. And then also your report. If you could put this in the packet, I watched the Board of Managers meeting, and we got a more in-depth report. Good catch. This is very important information, and there's a little bit longer discussion about it if y'all want to watch the video. But if we could get that in the packet, that would help. Maybe someone didn't attend the Board of Managers meeting or watch it and get that more, elaborate explanation. If it's in the packet, it helps us.
Sure.
And especially with a consultant, we can do that. Frustrated that we're going to get a memo about this tomorrow, the day after we could talk about it if we need to today as a group. But I will say, I'm assuming legal is going to need to look at it and give us some advice on what to do on tomorrow's memo. But, I guess we need to tack on next month, maybe an executive session. I don't know, to talk about it, but man, we missed it by a day.
You beat me to it. Well, and we already had the agenda review on Monday, and I think this happened on Monday afternoon. When did the special meeting occur?
Oh, this special meeting was at the end of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was just a lot of circulating and trying to get copies of the signed resolution from the district and other things that extended how quickly we could turn it around.
And I'm going to interrupt. Ms. McDaniel pointed out I'm just blind as a bat and missed the memo that's in there. So thank you, Sherry, for pointing it out to me. I've just made a public comment about it.
And I was going to ask you if you thought the memo was effective and what you were looking for, but you haven't seen it yet, so I'll reserve that for next month. I did see Snapper was at the Senate hearing. I saw him walk by at some point earlier this afternoon.
Yes, he was there and we were texting a little bit. It does happen. So certainly happy to prepare a more written piece for the board packet. It does happen sometimes that I get updates from him day of, but I will do my best to document things ahead of time.
So for staff and any of y'all can interject, what I always like to see is more detail on paper and then the high points in your report. And so if something changes, you don't have to be mum on it. You just say, hey, this isn't in my report, but here's something that changes. And that's how you can effectively communicate things that change. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Okay. We'll start with you, Trey, and then we'll move on to Ruben.
So, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Chelsea, Guadalupe County, Groundwater District, they have a meeting Thursday. I believe the headliner is Canyon Regional. What's going on with that?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sorry, it was on my list, but I thought I had been dismissed.
No, that was
Yeah, so this Thursday is our permit amendment hearing with the Guadalupe County District. We have 3 permit amendment applications going before them to accommodate the increased capacity at well 2, the proposed new well 10, which would be at the Wells Ranch treatment plant site, and then an amendment just to add unpermitted leases so that we have additional water for the production at those 2 wells. We have been regrouping and trying to prepare for the most, critical scenario we could find ourselves in going into this permit hearing. I personally am feeling good about the outcome of it, but we have been sort of doing different versions of drills with Trish, who is the council, Carls, who is the council supporting this, as well as with both of the hydrogeologists at RW Hardin. And we've also had representation from STV sitting in on those sort of dry runs. So I think that we're in as good a shape as we can be. We have tried to anticipate public comments that we might hear and be able to respond to those questions and concerns just based on what I have heard come up in past district meetings from the public. And I think we've checked in with district staff sufficiently to understand what things they may bring. So that's Guadalupe.
Thank you, Humberto. Do you have anything else to report? I did not mean to run you off.
That's okay. The only other item is that it seems, and this is an update just from today, but it seems like this Friday we'll be able to regroup with the members who are interested in supporting the short-term surface water lease initiative. I think I have calendars smoothed out for those members and their councils and our council. Thank you, Ruben. And so just as a reminder, this is the initiative where we have 3 member entities that have unused surface water that we think that we can pull from the Dunlap intake. It would be sort of as needed on a short-term basis to help mitigate against curtailment that we might experience during drought this summer. So we're making progress there. Now I'm finished.
Those entities, Green Valley.
East Central, and Crystal
No,
Clear.
not me.
Or Springs Hill. Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank y'all guys for working on that. Okay, thank you. Sorry for trying to run you off. Now we will start with you, Trey.
So I've got 4 items to report other than our executive session discussion. First and foremost, I'm happy to announce that the lawsuit filed by the city of San Marcos has been dismissed as to Canyon Regional. It was actually dismissed a couple of days after our last Board of Trustees meeting. I have been in contact with the attorney for Maxwell, and I understand that San Marcos has been in touch with Maxwell's attorneys, and they were working on a release agreement. It was also my understanding from San Marcos's attorney that there would be similar discussions with all of the participating members on the Hayes Caldwell project. I see you, Mr. Forcell, nodding your head. I hope that means that there's been contact. Okay, so it sounds like things are headed the right direction for the participating members, but Canyon Regional is out. Our check has been delivered. The judges signed the order of dismissal, and so that is in the rearview mirror for Canyon Regional. Yeah, the same way. On the Windsor Chase lawsuit, in which Canyon Regional is the plaintiff, all of the briefs will have been filed by June 1st. There was I reported at the last meeting that the brief for Windsor Chase as the appellee was due within a couple of days. They obtained an extension. The court granted that extension until June 1st. So that should be the very last brief, after which the case will be ripe for consideration by the Court of Appeals. I think I had mentioned to you in the past that my experience lately has been that with the fourth court schedule, we're looking at probably 6 to 9 months before we hear any word from them. And so it'll be an extended period of silence until the court gets back to us. In the meantime, we have engaged in a dialogue with Windsor Chase's attorneys, with the attorney that's representing a couple of the impacted landowners. We have a plan to approach the Guadalupe District together, but we're waiting for the action on CRWA's permit applications tomorrow night before we do anything that might upset the apple cart or make them upset with us. So I'm anticipating that following the, it may be Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Yeah, I misspoke. So I don't go to those meetings. But point being, we're going to wait until the groundwater district takes action on Canyon Regional's permit applications, and then we'll approach them with complaints about the way they're managing their permits. With respect to the High Point Ridge landowners, that was Mr. Long presented to you at the meeting before last. That dialogue is ongoing. It appears to be not particularly going in the right direction, but we continue to work on that. The ball is back in Canyon Regional's court. We've promised Mr. Long a further reply, and that's going to be going out to him within the next week or so. There is the other group of landowners that are seeking wells on leased acreage in Guadalupe County. It's the subdivision that's within the Springs Hill CCN area. Those dialogues are also ongoing, and so we remain in communications with those. Unlike the other group, those haven't ratcheted up. They've actually been going the other direction.
It's going well with us. So right now, I haven't talked to him this week, but it's Monday. Last week, everything was looking like it's going to be Springs Hill where no wells. It is what it's looking like.
And that's what we're hoping for too. That's the obvious direction. Is they're within your certificated area.
The main thing is that they're across 1117, or we're across 1117. So we're just trying to work out some easements and stuff like that. And it's still looking good.
Okay, that's good to hear. And so point being, we also have a dialogue with them, but we're hoping that they're able to work it out with Springs Hill. And that's all I have on those four matters. I'll visit with you extensively about Tri-Hydro.
Questions for Trey? Ruben, please.
Okay, good evening. I'm sure all of you have noticed that there are no video conferences on the screen there. And if you're wondering why, let me try to explain that real quickly. In the past, Canyon Regional Water Authority, which extends into 3 or more counties, has relied on and harmonized 2 sections of the Open Meetings Act to be able to allow it to have meetings both in person and on video conference. In connection with the special meeting that you're looking at having here recently, I thought, let me go back and check those sections to make sure that we're okay, not only in terms of general regular meetings, but also in special meetings. And when I started looking at those sections, I realized that there might be some conflicts in the sections. Certainly I interpret them one way, but I thought if I'm interpreting one way, they can be interpreted in a number of ways. So I thought, you know what, out of an abundance of caution, let me go ahead and call the Attorney General. And those 2 sections that we're talking about are sections 551-127 and sections 551-134. And I'm pretty sure that all of the attorneys that represent each of the participating members here have probably reached the same conclusion, which is you harmonize those 2 provisions, and therefore that allows you to be able to have video conferencing, whether it's a regular meeting or a special meeting, whether you need to take immediate action or not, doesn't really matter. Well, when I visited with the Attorney General, they took a very, very strict position and essentially said, Ruben, the section 127, 55127 doesn't really apply to you. And the reason, you as in Canyon Regional Water Authority, and the reason it does not is because section 551-134 is very specific to water districts. And under some general principles of law, which is more current, prevails over the more historic, and the more specific prevails over the more general. 134 is the only provision that applies to Canyon Regional because it extends into 3 or more counties. And under that provision, under 134, Unless you have a special meeting that requires immediate action and where it's very difficult or impossible to have the members, the participant members, be able to get together in person, that's the only time you can have video conferencing. So again, special meeting, immediate action, and it's difficult or impossible to gather everybody in one place. Other than that, you cannot have teleconferencing. So if you have a regular meeting like we've had in the past, his position is you cannot have video conferencing. We're okay, by the way, in case anybody's wondering about the past. We're okay because we've always had an in-person quorum here, so there's no problem. But going forward, is the Attorney General's oral opinion, because they have no written opinion on this, is that we can only have video conferencing when we have a special meeting that requires immediate action, and it's just difficult to get everybody together in person, either impossible or difficult. So I would have to say that this is probably one of those things that we should toss over to the legislative committee and to our lobbyists so they can possibly look at some changes to 134 or perhaps eliminate 134 and just simply have everybody, all water districts, rely on the old 127, which seems to be more general and broad and certainly would include us. The funny thing is that the Attorney General was the one that also, I mean, I was already thinking that, but he says, Ruben, if you, at the next legislative session, you might want to think about doing some lobbying at the legislature to clarify these two sections. We probably don't need two sections, but if you're going to have two sections, let's make sure that everything you need is in 134. And if you think the easier thing to do, and his perspective was, it's probably easier to get rid of 134 and just rely on 127. That's probably the ticket. Anyway, we'll know more about that going forward when we talk to the legislative committee and see if they're willing to, take this football down to the legislature and see what we can do at the next session. But for now, and for the foreseeable future, unless there's any changes to either 127 or 134, no more video conferencing as we used to know it.
Thank you, Ruben.
Any questions?
Go ahead. Questions? Yes, sir.
Ruben, wasn't this a result of the COVID? I mean, wasn't there special? And then I guess we all just kind of wrote the coattails of COVID, and at some point we knew this was going to happen, or we didn't know what was going to happen, or whatever. But this was a result of COVID.
There was more flexibility during COVID, yes, sir. But when you read the statutes, I thought that you could read them together. You could harmonize them together and be able to reach the conclusion that we've reached for quite some time and have video conferencing. But that's not the position of the Attorney General. And for now, I think it is the safest course of action. The safest course of action, and out of an abundance of caution, is to follow the AG.
Yes, ma'am.
Since we have several members here who are also on ARWA, have you shared this with Mike or Sean?
Yes,
for
ma'am.
ARWA? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
We've
Thank
had
you.
two
Just so
extended
that
conversations.
we make sure we're good there too.
I spoke with Graham Moore as well about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to miss the technical committee meeting. I was briefing him on that, and we spoke about this, and he said Mike's looking into it, and we'll get a report.
Okay. All right. As I said,
Mike and I
I'm
spoke at
always
length.
in person, anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, as we move forward, and I guess there's some discussion at some point with regards to lessening the board members, I guess I want, for record right now, we start looking at, give us a historic perspective as to this video conferencing number of board members who are on video compared to the number of board members that were here. I don't want to use this against the fact that why it's better to have less board members. I think if you look at the fact that the board members that attended, we still had a quorum, and there was maybe just, a couple out there. I don't know if we ever made a quorum with those on video conference. So I guess what I'm asking for is do some homework before we start having this deliberation that, video conferencing means it may support the fact that you're basically diminishing the board or numbers. And I don't agree to that because I basically attended every board meeting and I think we've always made a quorum. So just thought I'd point that out.
Mr. Chairman, since I've been here as general counsel, we've always had an in-person quorum. So never been a problem.
Yeah, we can talk offline so I can better understand what your request is and how you're equating that from 22 to 11, because I don't want to misrepresent anything here.
Quick Quick question, just Ruben, was it 130? I want to say you kept telling me 131, not 134, like when we had a conversation about it. I just want to make sure that I'm not trying.
131.
131, right? I just didn't want it to get documented in the minutes and
It's-
all that stuff. So
127 and 131 is
I
far
just
as my
make it
memory.
again. Just
131,
want to just make sure I wasn't going crazy. I apologize.
127 and 131.
All right.
Okay, any other questions for Ruben on this? Thank you, sir. Item 9B, administrative. Nothing on administrative. Okay. Item 9C, committee and board of managers updates. I'll start real quick with, we heard budget committee's next meeting is going to be June 16th, 10:30. Okay, we'll move on to construction committee. Nick, do you have any updates to the report that's in the packet?
No, I just wanted to reiterate the timeline that's in the packet. Wanted to get it updated with actual substantial and final completion dates, so that we can work off of actual, not dates we hope they'll be done. Because a lot of our projects are well behind schedule. I want to get them finished.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for the construction committee? Board of managers, Mr. Gage.
Okay, good evening, trustees. So I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but the board of managers selected me to continue to represent them as the chair. So I guess it's, you'll get to listen to me some more. So most of what we talked about was in the report, right? But I want to highlight a couple of things, because I want to get to the significance of some of the things that the trustees have said here tonight. We talked about operations in the sense that, unfortunately, we didn't have our operators at the meeting. They were off with TCEQ, I think at Hayes Caldwell or Wells Ranch, wherever you guys were. So we didn't have the benefit of the operators, right? But the questions we're asking is the so what, right? So Mr. Sherman asked tonight how many wells, out of 15 are down. Board of Managers wants to know what's the impact, right? So what I'm demonstrating to you is we're trying to create a connection between the construction of a thing and then what the impact to the organizations are. That's why it's important that you have, the appropriate person coming to the Board of Managers. We're trying to create that tie. What's the impact? The second thing, I think we all kind of tongues fell out of our mouth, when Chelsea eloquently said to the Board of Managers what she described about the Gonzales Groundwater District. Well, here's the so what, ladies and gentlemen. If they adopt policies that are restrictive in any way to our current permits, we are sitting on hold, and we've talked about this before. We have a leasehold position in a lot of unpermitted groundwater leases. I don't have the number, but in Gonzales County, that's going to change our calculus as to what we do, right? We may have to keep more land to maintain the same amount of leases. Originally, we are kind of looking at this and we're thinking, well, if we don't permit and produce this water, why are we still paying for it? Well, this might change our game plan, right? So the fact, I appreciate Chelsea bringing it up and saying that to us, right? But if you think at what is the impact of Canyon Regional, it may change how we approach our leasehold position, right? I mean, and that's money out of all of our pockets, or the ones that participate, in Wells Ranch at least, and maybe everybody. I'm not sure about that, but that is extremely significant. So this year we do anticipate the legislature to open up some Chapter 36, which is groundwater, rules, right? And we'll see how that goes. But I mean, if this continues, we all have a commitment for continuous service of water, and every single one of us have long-term water supply contracts in which we do that through our wholesaler, right? If any rule that's going to reduce that amount, just like Mr. Ramos said, it's significant, right? I mean, you saw it like right off the bat. It's contrary to the state water plan too. I mean, so I just want to leave the impression of the board, the managers know about this now. We were significantly shocked at the Board of Managers meeting, wasn't I? I think I listened very intently to Chelsea as she was describing what happened, but it is a big deal. And I'm thankful that the trustees recognize that right away, that it is a big deal. So I wanted to highlight that. The second one, I just want to talk about, this is something kind of thematic, right? I mean, so we're trying to get after, we have a little tie-in, I'll call it a tie-in on May 13th, this week on tomorrow, Wednesday, right? And the Board of Managers, we want to get our communication better, right? We've been working for this for a little while on the Board of Managers, where we've tried to create a point of contact list. We're trying to generate the operators talking to operators so we can know the impacts of our system, right? And I want to, commend, Adam for sending out a note to everybody, to the operator level, to try to get this moving. But that's what we're trying to do. And if you think about how, the questions about Chelsea, when did we know about this groundwater district? We've got to increase our communications amongst the entities. We have to. if you wait to a board of managers, we're not going to see the board of managers for another month, right? And something could happen. I mean, so we're simply encouraging staff to be more forthcoming with information to the entities, and then the entities can in turn brief their trustees, right? If this works right. And so that's what we're trying to do. I mean, so a couple of those things were pretty significant. I just want to tell you the why. Everything in my memo matches, and I appreciate the work Chelsea's doing to figure out how we can use raw water that we already pay for to curtail, to help against curtailments. And the board of managers discussed it, and basically we want to be in a position where we can recommend to the board of trustees that this is a good idea and tell you why. We're not there yet, but I appreciate her working on it. Any questions for board of managers?
Questions for board of managers?
Thank you all.
Thank you. I'll talk about the Legislative Affairs Committee. I think we've met twice since the last board meeting, still going through the enabling legislation, looking for areas where it can be improved, trying to codify it into one document. As you remember, there's a number of amendments. And so you've got to go and take this amendment and look how it changes language here. And then the language was changed a third time, all back in the 90s and then even into the 2000s. And so once we have a kind of final document, we'll bring that to y'all to look at, to give us the blessing and to go ahead to take that in and take that up to Austin and see what we can get done with the focus advocacy. Questions on legislative affairs? Does that process make sense to y'all? Yeah. All right. Now we will move into item 10, executive session. So we're going to close the regular meeting and go into executive session to receive the Board of Trustees may meet in an executive session, discuss the following items, if any, pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including where appropriate sections 551071, 551072, 551074, 551076, 551086, 551089, and 418.183F in the Texas Government Code. All formal action will occur in open session. The board will receive advice of and discuss with its attorneys mediation and possible terms of settlement concerning cause number 240377 CBE, CRWA versus Tri-Hydro Corporation, and David Maxwell PE, pending in the 456th District Court of Guadalupe County, Texas. And in item 10B, deliberation pursuant to section 551074 of the Texas Government Code regarding the employment, evaluation, and duties of the general manager, including review of the status of the general manager's goal. With that, we will end the regular session at 7:07 and go into executive session at 7:15. Before we return to open session, I have forums present. We will discuss, consider, and take possible action on approval and adoption of CRWA Resolution 2605-002 as related to cause number 240377 CVE, CRWA versus Tri-Hydro Corporation and David Maxwell PE, pending in the 456th District Court of Guadalupe County, Texas. Do I have any action on this resolution?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to move to approve and adopt resolution 26-05-002 and as follows. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Canyon Regional Water Authority as follows. Number one, the litigation committee of CRWA's Board of Trustees is hereby authorized to represent the authority at mediation, and two, whether at mediation or otherwise, negotiate a settlement of CRWA's affirmative claims asserted in cause number 24-0377-CV-E in accordance with the terms discussed by the board in executive session on May 11, 2026. The board president is hereby authorized to execute any settlement agreement and related documents required to effectuate settlement of CRWA's claims in accordance with the terms discussed by the board in executive session on May 11, 2026. And any document providing for settlement of CRWA's claims executed by the board president pursuant to the authorization contained in this resolution shall be subject to and considered for ratification by the Board of Trustees at its first meeting following such execution.
Do I have a second? We have a second from Ms. Stubing. Any other discussion on the item? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, that motion passed. Item 12, future board member agenda items. Our next meeting is June 8th, 2026. If you have any specific items you'd like to see on the agenda, please let me know, and I'm happy to work with staff to get them on there sooner rather than later, please. You will see the minutes again Monday of next week, so you will have them in your inbox to review and provide any comments. Please provide those comments, in that next week so that we can address any concerns you may have with the documents and get them on the board packet. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.